Greetings, everyone. Am I audible, everyone? Am I audible to everyone? Please tell me in chat box. Am I audible to everyone? I hope you all doing well. Today, in this video, we are going to discuss about the types of financial services which are offered by the financial institutions as well as banking institutions. I hope I am audible to everyone. So before discussing the types of financial services, it is our duty to discuss about financial services. It is our mandatory one to remember about financial services. Okay. So in case of financial services, it is a part of financial system that provides different types of finance through various credit instruments, financial products and services. As we have discussed earlier about financial services, right? It is a kind of financial assistance which are provided by both banking institutions as well as by the financial institutions. We can take merchant banking as an example. We can take underwriting, factoring services, lease finance. It is a very important financial service which are offered by the financial institutions. Like that, the list which is going on as financial services. Okay, so financial service is a part of financial system that provides different types of finance through various credit instruments, financial products and services. Okay, take for an example, a mutual fund. It is a financial service. Lease financing, which is also a kind of financial service. Like that, we have plenty of financial services, but we are going to discuss only 12 important financial services, very relevant financial services, which are offered by the banking institution as well as non-banking institutions. Okay, let's we go to the types. Just go through the types. These are all the major financial services which are rendered by the financial institutions as well as banks. Okay, so first and foremost, a financial service is nothing but banking. Banking services, we know about banking services. And second one is professional advisory services. Third one, wealth management, mutual funds, insurance, stock market, debt instruments, you know, then tax or audit consulting, capital restructuring, and then portfolio management. I have added another two financial services. One is venture capital and another one is lease finance, because those two areas are very important in case of our syllabus. Okay, so we have venture capital in a separate unit, as well as we have financial, lease financing in a separate unit. So that I have added those two financial services while discussing the types of financial services. Okay, so let me discuss about the types of financial services in detail one by one. First one is banking. So in case of banking services, in our country we have a number of public sector banks, more than 27 public sector banks we have, and we have 21 private sector, major private sector banks. We have more or less 49 foreign banks, and we have 56 rural, regional rural banks, and then we have 95,000 of cooperative banks, and so these are all the banking institutions are playing a vital role in providing financial services, right? So in case of individual banking, checking accounts, savings, opening of savings bank account, providing debit and credit cards, which are also comes under financial services, and business banking like merchant services. Take for an example, um, take for an example, providing banking services to the business people, which is called as merchant services or merchant banking, as we have discussed earlier. Okay, so in case of merchant banking, it is nothing but it is a process of providing banking services to the business people. Take for an example, underwriting services, loan services, financial advice, and assistance in raising funds for the development of the business or for the expansion of the business. Okay, and checking accounts and saving accounts for the business, or current account for the business, treasury services like that. Banking institutions are offering a number of financial services to the business people. Okay, in case of underwriting, no, underwriting is a kind of merchant banking service. We didn't discuss separately, so while discussing about merchant banking services, we have to discuss about underwriting. So underwriting is a process of taking financial risk for a fixed amount of fees. So what exactly about underwriting, right? So under this process, a banking institution or a financial institution which takes the risk of a company, right? In case of raising finance, or in case of issuing shares, there will be a risk of promoting those shares, promoting those securities. So a bank will take the risk of promoting those securities for the purpose of raising capital for that particular company. So for that, the company have to pay a fixed amount of fees for taking, for undertaking the shares, or for undertaking the uh, promotion of shares as well as securities. Okay, so in case of underwriting, another very important thing you need to know is underwriter should promote the shares or as well as securities. For that, institution, the company have to pay a fixed amount of fee, right? And under banking financial services, we have loans, both finance, business loans, personal loans, home loans, automobile loans, working capital finance. So everything which are comes under banking financial services. Okay. Then next, professional advisory. It is a very important new term. It is a very new term which we are discussing. Professional advisory. So advisory. So in case of India, India has a strong presence of professional financial advisory service providers, which offer individuals and business a wide portfolio of services, including investment due diligence, merger and acquisition advisory, valuation of securities, real estate consulting, risk consultation, and taxation consulting. So these are all the professional advisory services which are provided by the banks as well as financial institutions. So we can take diligence, investment due diligence. So with regards to investment due diligence, it is a kind of investigation and audit of financial records before entering into a transaction. Okay, so take for an example, if a company Ashok Leyland, right, has decided to purchase, and another company, before going to purchase and another company called Tata, right? That Ashok Leyland is doing investment due diligence, which means investigation about that particular company, Tata. So what about the financial aspects of Tata company? What about the problems which are faced by the Tata company? So what is the reason for the dissolution of that particular Tata company? Everything could be audited, everything could be investigated under the investment due diligence process. Okay, so this particular service will be provided by the financial institutions to a company before entering into a financial transaction. And then M and M&A, M&A, which means merger and acquisition advisory, right? So in case of merger and acquisition, so what is merger? What is merger? If you merge one company with another, if you join one company with another, which will be called as merger. See, in case of merger as well as acquisition, it is a duty of a company. It is mandatory, to take a counseling or an advice about the merger and acquisition, and advice about the environment, right, of the holding company, which is purchasing company, as well as in that particular another company, right? So before merging two companies, as both the companies have to analyze the financial status of each and every company, which is also done by the financial services limited, right? Financial services companies. So merger and acquisition advisory, valuation of securities, real estate consulting, risk consultation, and taxation consulting. Okay, and then third very important financial service is wealth management. In case of wealth management, yeah, it is a segment of financial service, including managing and investing customers' wealth across various financial instruments, including debt, equity, mutual funds, insurance products, derivatives, structured products, commodities, and real estate, based on the client's financial goals, risk profile, and time horizons. Okay, so wealth. So these are all the wealth of the investors. Take for example debt, equity, capitals, mutual fund. These are all the yeah, wealth aspect of an investor that could be maintained by the financial services company. Okay, so managing the wealth of an investor, which is also a kind of financial service. Okay, so please understand wealth management, which is also a kind of financial service. And mutual funds, so it is a very huge concept, but it is not possible to discuss about mutual funds within 5 minutes. It will take a month to discuss mutual funds. As we know, mutual fund, which is nothing but, right, it is a collection of funds from various investors, and have a pool of fund, and invest that particular amount in various securities of the company, or in various industries, which will be called as mutual funds, right? So I'll repeat once again about mutual funds. Mutual fund, which is nothing but number of investors are investing their money mutually, right? And that should be, that will become a lump sum amount. That lump sum amount will be invested by the fund manager in different companies' securities or in different industries' securities. Remember, so mutual fund service providers offer professional investment service across funds that are composed of different asset classes, primarily debt and equity linked assets. Okay, so offering mutual fund services, it is a very important financial service. Remember, right? So in case of mutual funds, as a small investor, I can invest in mutual funds, but the thing is, I have to wait for a long period. And next thing is insurance. Next thing is insurance. So offering insurance, right? For what purpose we are taking insurance? For the purpose of protecting our future life, for the purpose of protecting the net worth of the company in case of any uncertainties. So financial services offering in this segment are primarily offered across two categories. One is um, general insurance and life insurance, right? So both general insurance as well as life insurance, which are comes under a kind of financial services. So life insurance, which is for individuals, and general insurance, which is for companies, which is for medical purpose, and that is also for fire accidents. Okay, then travel uncertainties. For those purpose, we have general insurance. So insurance services, which are also comes under financial service, do remember. Then stock market. We know about stock market. The stock market segment includes investment solutions for customers in Indian stock markets. We have both Bombay Stock Exchange as well as National Stock Exchange across various equity-linked products. The returns for customers are based on capital appreciation, growth in the value of equity solution, or dividends. All right, and payouts made by companies to its investors based on capital appreciation as well as the growth in the value of equity. Remember, so stock markets, we have both Bombay Stock Exchange as well as National Stock Exchange. No investor, remember, no investor can invest their money in securities directly, right? As an investor, I can invest my money only through stock exchanges. So stock exchanges are offering n number of financial services through stock brokers. So we need to approach one stockbroker to invest our money in a security which is listed in a stock exchange. So offering stock market services, which is also comes under a financial service. And then next one is debt instruments. So services offered in this segment include investments into government and private organization bonds, that is debt, and the issuer of bonds offers fixed payment and principal repayment to the investor at the end of the investment period. So the types of instruments in this segment include listed bonds, non-convertible debentures, capital gain bonds, then gold savings bonds, and tax-free bonds, etc. Okay, so offering debt instruments, which are also comes under a financial service. See, in case of debt instruments, okay, borrower will give a fixed percentage of interest to the investor, and after a particular period of 3 years or 5 years, the principal amount which is also be refunded. Remember, okay, so based on the nature of debt instruments, the interest rate as well as the redemption of that particular debt instrument will be happened. Excuse me. And in case of tax consultancy or audit consulting, this particular segment includes a large portfolio of financial services within the tax and auditing domain. This services domain can be segmented based on individual and business clients. They include tax individual, for determining tax liability or filing of tax returns, and for tax savings advisory, and for tax in case of business, determination of tax liability for the business concern and transferring the price analysis and structuring, GST, goods and service taxes, registration, and tax compliance advisory. So these are all the services which are offered by the tax consultancies as well as audit consultancies, which are also a financial service. Capital restructuring, it is very important service which are offered by the banks as well as financial institutions. In case of capital restructuring, these kind of services are offered primarily to organizations and involve the restructuring of capital structure, both debt and equity, to profitability or respond to crisis such as volatile markets, liquidity crunch, or hostile takeovers. Okay, so the types of financial solutions in this segment typically include structured transactions, lender negotiations, and accelerated merger and acquisition and capital raising. Right. So we have, what about this particular capital restructuring? We are going to design a new capital structure. That's all. So what is capital structure? A collection of instruments, collection of financial avenues, or call it as capital structure, or collection of investment, your investment, which will be called as a capital structure. Right. So a company may have equity capital, debt capital, loans, private borrowings, right? So this will be the capital structure. So, but based on the current situation, or based on the future forecasting, we need to rearrange the capital structure once in 5 years or once in 10 years. We need to restructure. Take for an example, we can increase equity capital, or we can decrease the percentage ratio of debt capital. Like this, we have to redesign the capital structure, which will also consider a kind of financial service. So in case of volatile markets, and volatile in the sense change, right, up and downs. So in case of hostile takeovers, so hostile takeover, which is nothing but acquisition of one company by another. So right. So in case of acquisition of one company by another company, at that time also we need to restructure the capital, right? So capital restructuring is a kind of financial service which are provided by the financial institutions when a company meets a liquidity crunch, when a company meets a hostile takeovers, which means acquisition of company, and in case of merger and acquisition. Right. And then portfolio management. So we know about portfolio, the collection of securities, which will be called as portfolio management. This segment includes a highly specialized and customized range of solutions that enables clients to reach their financial goals through portfolio managers. Okay, take for an example, one individual is having few number of shares, and that particular same individual who is also having investment in debt instrument, and he's also having some more investment in mutual funds. So this list will be called as portfolio management. So in case of some customers, in case of very busy customers, or in case of a huge company or large scale company, it is not possible to manage their portfolio in a daily basis. So for that purpose, for those kind of people, financial institutions are offering portfolio management service for HNIs. Who's HNIs? High net worth individuals. So high net worth individuals are always busy. So in case of high net worth individuals, they have their own debt, capital investment, equity capital investment. They are having investment in insurance, real estate. So their total net worth, which is so huge, so it is not possible to manage their portfolio with the help of one or two employees. So management of portfolio, which is also done by financial services for these kind of people. And lease financing, we know about lease financing. It is one of the important sources of medium and long term financing, where the owner of an asset gives another person the right to use that asset against periodical payments. The owner of the asset is known as lessor, and the user is called lessee. And venture capital, last financial service, which is nothing but venture capital. It is a private or institutional investment made into startup companies, that is new ventures. As defined, ventures involve risk in the expectation of a sizable gain or large amount of gain. So venture capital investment is also referred to risk capital, as it includes the risk of losing the money if the venture doesn't succeed. So venture capital, which is nothing but offering capital or providing capital to a new venture, right, which involves in a risky business, involves in a very risky business. But if it is succeed, that particular company should get a more amount of profit. But it is, if it is not, that particular company may get more amount of loss. Okay. So offering venture capital or managing venture capital finance, which is also a kind of financial service, remember. Okay. So in next lecture, we'll be discussing about players in financial services. We can recap once again. So we have these are all the major financial services: banking services, professional advisory, wealth management, mutual funds, insurance, stock market services, then managing debt instruments, tax and audit consulting, capital restructuring service, portfolio management, venture capital financing, and lease finance. So these are all the major financial services, remember. Okay. So I hope you all understand about the types of financial services. So do well. Thank you.